is up, everybody? It is Jack Lloyd here. I'm excited to hang out with you and do a little review of something new that just came out with RipPasend. But before we get to that, just really quick, if you haven't yet, go check out my YouTube, youtube.com/Jack Lloyd. That's the best place for me to see your comments. And if you put something down below, I might even respond to it. So make sure to check out my YouTube there, subscribe, get notifications, because I'm trying to get more people to be able to see whenever I go live and things like that, because we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. So make sure to check out my YouTube, make sure to subscribe, get the notifications that the next time I do something that involves a little preview of something coming up, which you definitely don't want to see, you get those notifications right away. So without further ado, what I'm going to be talking about today for a little bit is the RipPasend service. So I was really excited when I saw that Eric July put together this new thing called RipPasend. So he decided to expand his offerings. And he had mentioned this before, saying that, he was himself dissatisfied with a lot of the opportunities that were out there. He saw a lot of them as just not really being helpful to artists and creators, just not being able to specialize for what they need. And since, of course, Eric July did it very successfully, create a warehouse, create a great team that is able to quickly get out orders, has great organization. I mean, it's really something incredible. And it caters to comic book creators. He's like, okay, I can expand my service offering. So I personally think that's brilliant, because if you can monetize other people's works in addition to your own, you have this kind of buffer, right? You have the ability to both help others, make money in that, and still promote your stuff. So I'm really excited to see what he ends up creating with it, because I mean, I'm just seeing this right now. This could become its own huge kind of internal cycle, where the work that he does with helping others then becomes promotional stuff for what he does, and vice versa. And it becomes this perpetual uplifting positive thing where everybody is in this special network of people who just want to make great comics and don't want all this SJW nonsense and timeline chops and all sort of stuff. So I think this is just a really incredible opportunity. So I wanted to just showcase some of the things, talk about some of it. Especially I myself have been interested. I did submit for it. I don't know that I'll be approved, of course. You never know. And, I don't know what their minimum order quantities and that's required. But I think we'll go over this and maybe you'll get a sense of it. And maybe it's something that interests you, because I know there's a lot of other creators out there that have been struggling to find a service that can really meet all their needs. It is difficult to find someone that's reliable for all these things, where you're trying to have, possibly having your comics printed and also shipped and packaged right and all that good stuff. So, and hey, what's up, DCZ? Good to see you. Glad you're here. So on the website, I'm not going to play the video itself. I'm just going to read through things. And you can see here at the first page, it says publishing and distributing your comics. It says, we are a comprehensive service provider specializing in publishing, distribution, and fulfillment. Our services are designed to cater creators of all sizes and ambitions. Whether you need assistance with publishing your work, distribute to your target audience, or filling orders, RipPasend is here to collaborate with you every step of the way. And what you can see there is there's already a lot of different services. This is not just simply, hey, we'll help fulfill orders. This is potentially printing. This is potentially distribution. So I'm really excited for what this could become. And I think that we're going to see this just continue to flourish. So let's take a look at the FAQs, just to start to walk through some of these aspects. So it says, what is RipPasend? RipPasend is the service wing under the larger RipAverse publishing brand. RipPasend services include general consulting, fulfillment, campaign hosting, storefront and publishing. Please refer to our About Us section for more information. Right? So you're already seeing there that there's the consulting aspect. Maybe you need help with something and you just need some ideas about what's the best way to get stuff done. I've seen some of that, already. Obviously, you could tell people about what to do with Shopify and give some special tips and tricks, because they certainly have worked with services like that with integration in their website. So, definitely for someone who's kind of new to this whole thing, they're a creator, but they don't know anything about the web stuff where, you want to have a storefront thing. That's certainly helpful. What I'm most excited, though, about myself potentially is the storefront and campaign hosting aspects. I mean, that to me, because I'm personally someone who's been doing this for a long time. I've used Indiegogo. I just successfully used Fund My Comic as well. I'm used to doing a lot of this stuff on third-party platforms, and they've been great overall. Indiegogo has never done me wrong. Fund My Comic, perfectly fine. Everything worked out smoothly, so no complaints. But I'm wondering, to what extent this would tie to the RipAverse's like broader network, right? Because if you're someone who's listed as someone who's a creator, and your campaign might be promoted or mentioned as a part of, here's the network of RipAscend, and here's who's doing what, that is pretty incredible, right? To be a part of that amazing group of people who would be a part of this. So he already said that, as Eric July said, that they were certainly going to have discernment in who they picked. They weren't going to just pick any Joe Schmo. No one who's just, I'm just starting raw. You have to have some experience and to be able to show that you could obviously sign contracts and get something done. But for a lot of people, it's next level. And I'm seeing this especially too, because, I think you mentioned drunk CPOs being a part of this already. I'm seeing that certainly creators who already have other outlets, YouTubers or different things, or maybe they do webcomics, whatever, they might be the ones who especially need it. Like if they have a big enough fan base and they can get a lot of orders, it might be tough for them to do that all and, keep current with everything else that they're doing. So this really makes a lot of sense for someone like that. And I know his campaign, the person I just mentioned, was like 100,000. So that's a good example, right? That's definitely someone who could use that scaling help if they need to get a lot of perks fulfilled. If it's 1,000 perks, it's quite a big endeavor, to say the least. So a lot of people wondered this before, and I knew this in the beginning, but it says RipAscend part of the RipAverse. So RipAscend is under RipAverse Publishing, but the books published are separate from the RipAverse universe. This is a feature for creatives needing help with getting their own creative vision into the hands of their fans. So, to me, that was obvious, right? This is a creator-owned thing. It's not that your comic is now under RipAverse, of course. It's an independent thing, which fantastic. In some ways, that's like better than what Image Comic does. Because, Image is putting their logo and saying you're through them. And of course, there's benefits, I guess you could say, too, if you maybe are like, yeah, I want to be a part of this bigger house. But RipAverse here is saying, you keep your branding, you keep your identity, and we help with just whatever consultation, getting the storefront, this or that, getting it out to your fans, and then possibly some cross publicity that comes from it. I would, again, be really curious to see what the cross promotional opportunities could be with that, right? For example, when something's fulfilled, just like with any other business, you do buy something on eBay, they don't have a card or something, a promo thing. If you fulfill with RipAverse, maybe RipAverse is sticking in and advertise it with like a 10% off coupon for the RipAverse site. I could see that being a thing. And that's brilliant. That's a great thing to do, right? If you have this thing where you're going to be doing the fulfillment, but RipAverse is like, yes, and we also get to stick in our little advertisement with your comic book as we ship it out. Duh, that's a win-win. That's amazing. And I'd be happy to, have that in my own thing too, because I already do that sometimes from others where I put a promotional thing to my backers, from an advertiser or something like that. And, advertisers then get to have something that goes to my backers, and they get to, have a nod to whatever it is. Maybe it's a band or a coffee producer, whatever it is. There's tons of different things that, we promote. So I can see that being a part of this like win-win cycle. And I'm very curious to see where that goes. It says here, can I pitch something for the RipAverse? The RipAverse does not accept pitches. Yeah. And that's been very clear from the beginning. The RipAverse is not an independent publishing house for people to submit articles to stories to, in terms of you setting stories like someone might for Marvel or something like that. RipAverse does their own thing. So again, this is completely creator-owned separate stuff. And it says RipAscend utilizes the infrastructure of RipAverse Publishing, but she looked at as a more separate entity. Any unsolicited material sent will be destroyed per copyright law. So again, I agree with that too. Sometimes people send me stuff because obviously I've been doing this a long time. I get people all the time who are like, hey, I have this idea, this, that. And I say, nope, I cannot accept anything you said. I'm going to just delete it. But I wish you the best in your endeavors because, I'm busy doing my thing. I'm staying focused on my goals. I'm not trying to be a publisher in terms of, owning other titles or that kind of thing. I have my own universe too. But just like Eric July is doing here, there's ways to have cross promotion, cross business things where it's not tying together under, a business contract situation where you're tying your business endeavors together, right? This could be one-off, and this could even be cut off very easily too. If someone or something is a problem, this mode of doing it also makes us that, represent if there's a problem with someone who's trying to do this and they're not paying and they're not fulfilling what they're supposed to do, they can just say, okay, end the deal. That's it. That's smart. You're not tying yourself forever to any particular outside brand. You're just giving them the opportunity to possibly have things fulfilled if they, meet their obligations. So it says, Do RipPasend clients own their material? The vast majority of RipPasend clients are owners of the trademark copyright of their work. This is generally known as creator-owned material. The RipAverse holds no ownership of the material published through RipPasend. So again, beautiful. I mean, what an amazing thing, right? None of this stuff where it's like, oh, if you send this, now we own this and there's all this stuff. This is the way it should be. This is doing it right. So, being able to just make use of services where they help publish, or they maybe do a special perk for you through their services, or they give you the knowledge, knowledge transfer so that you can have your own storefront. You don't have to rely on a third-party service for that. That's amazing. That's really a way to empower the broader creator community in ways that's just unparalleled, really. I mean, this is amazing. It's one of the most amazing things I've seen in a while since, Fund My Comic came out to counter the free speech issues of the major platforms. So, of course, everyone wants to know, how much does it cost? It says, because we offer a wide variety of services, each RipPasend client is given a unique deal. We tailor agreements to the needs of each individual client and can answer further details during consultation. So, yeah, obviously, you can't know exactly what it's going to cost until you have exactly the scope of work, what you're looking to have published, number of items to be fulfilled, and all of those are good stuff. I imagine that they're eventually going to get to, as they're getting clarity on this, I'm sure they're building this out already. But I am curious to see if there's like a standard setup fee, that kind of thing. So it's like a one fee charge. Here's the initial consult. It costs X amount of dollars. And that's that. Okay, let's sit down, talk about it. What do you have? We'll review it. And then tell you whether or not we can move forward, that kind of thing. I imagine that's what it'll end up being in the end. Of course, I'm sure there was some who already just had it going without having to do that, just because the names and the publicity. But for newer people where it's more on the edge, I imagine that will be the case, that there'll be a paid required initial consult to even see if you can go forward. I can see that probably would be the case to be, of course, time efficient, because someone's time is being used to review the submission and to see how credible the person is and all of this stuff. And that costs resources. So they need to be compensated in order to make that happen. Hopefully it's not too crazy where it's like, it's $5,000 just for a consult. I imagine it won't be something like that. But I'm sure it would probably be within a few hundred at least to do an initial just look over of everything and see, is this someone who has the work product and the history that we can look up readily and see, okay, they do have some stuff out there already, and there is a business reason to see that this person is worthy of going further and seeing what could be done. So, all right, let's go to the real details on the About Us page. Okay, now we're going to go to the thick. We did the overview, so now we're going to look at the About Us page where the deep details are. And we'll walk through each thing and explain some things as to what it means, and maybe make some suggestions here about what might make sense depending on who you are. So it says, RipPasend is not just a fulfillment house. We are a comprehensive service provider specializing in publishing, distribution, and fulfillment. Our services are designed to cater to creators of all sizes and ambitions, which again, that's encouraging. All sizes and ambitions, it just might mean that, even if you're small, as long as you can just pay the initial thing to get it going, then you can be in. That's pretty cool. So whether you need assistance with publishing your work, distribute to a target audience, or filling orders, RipPasend is here to collaborate with you every step of the way. Let us help you achieve greatness in the world of RipPasend publishing and distribution. I'm just getting chills, honestly. I'm feeling chills just thinking about the possibilities here. I mean, it's just so incredible. I'm definitely tired of wasting money on stupid Facebook ads or anything else that's just like these days, just a lot. I think a lot of people have gotten tired of some of these big companies and giving them their money. I'd much rather give RipAverse my money for trying to reach my publishing or advertising goals or whatever it is than Facebook, or Meta, whatever, for sure. So I'm really excited to see what's going to be offered. So it says, here's a list of our services we provide. General consulting. At RipPasend, our comprehensive publishing consulting services are designed to help guide your venture in your chosen market. With our in-house expertise, understanding what works, what doesn't, we track market trends and collaborate with you to create a strategy that maximizes your potential and ensures customer satisfaction. We know that creating and selling books can be challenging, but with RipPasend by your side, you can set yourself up for success in the publishing industry. I mean, I am personally curious as to what that will entail. Because, there's just like the ground level of, okay, getting stuff done. But I wonder, is that going to be, here's our strategies for how you run advertising? Is this going to be strategies for email intake, like a landing page so you can build up an email list and then get it going? Like, these are things that I definitely personally already know about and whatnot. But I'm curious if there's something extra special with that they're going to do where they even might, be saying, here's what to do managed ad buys or anything like that. I'm wondering if that's how far they're going to go with that kind of thing. Would be curious to see. Personally, I don't need that as a broad out external thing. I definitely am more interested in the RipAverse oriented one, because that's definitely up my alley, just like anybody else is in this realm of people who are just tired of the nonsense that comes out of Marvel and DC, right? Like I was already in that over 10 years ago from the beginning. I just took a very unique angle, of course, with my comic series Voluntaryist, because I did things that literally nobody was doing in terms of comic book angles and writing, just because the topics I was covering is just unlike anything else out there. But I'm very curious to see, what ends up being done to help people reach their particular target demographics and what they do in that type of consulting. Will it be total package? Will they be like, we're going to make a media kit for you? Is it going to be, here's articles, for press releases? I'm really curious. I'm really curious, how far that is going to go. So, and thank you so much. Good point. Good question from Vinzinger. I appreciate it. All right, so let's take a look here at the fulfillment part. Fulfillment, I think, is going to be big for a lot of people. That's actually pretty huge. So fulfilling your goods sold can be a demanding task, especially as your volume grows. At RipPasend, we understand the challenges that arise and are equipped to handle them. By leveraging the power of the RipAverse infrastructure, we can efficiently address shipping fulfillment challenges for our customers. This allows you to concentrate on creative work while having the assurance that your customers will be delighted to receive your products promptly and securely. Yes, this is a huge problem. And honestly, this has been something that scares me. I will say I have been scared about that myself, because I have always wondered, what happens if whenever the next campaign comes, you do, right? I'm used to having in the hundreds of backers. What happens if I hit that one that hits 1,000 backers, 2,000 backers? And I'm like, oh crap. I have scaled up over time. I have the equipment to get, that done to a degree, because I have like a Rolo printer. I have Labels Live. I know how stamps.com integrations work. I know how Shopify works and all this other stuff. I have the know-how, but at the end of the day, I don't have a warehouse. I don't have a team to help facilitate that going fast. And it doesn't matter if you have the know-how. If you don't have the team and the storage space, I can't keep 2,000 comics in my house comfortably. You know what I mean? So that is where warehousing comes into play, right? If you hit that mark where you're due $50,000, $100,000 campaign or more, and all of a sudden you're like, I can't stock 2,000 comics and all these bonuses and stuff and shirts. Yeah, that's understandable. For a lot of people, that is not going to be easy to do. So the warehousing and then the fulfillment, especially for campaigns, I think that is brilliant. And certainly there's been other people who have been trying to do this too, like Critical Blast and stuff like that. And there are generic 3PLs that will do it as well. There's, companies that do this type of thing, but it's just not the same. You know what I mean? Using a generic one, I've read different things. Some are good. Some, they lose your orders and this or that. We know what the RipAverse warehouse looks like. We have amazing footage of it. They did a great drone shot thing, which I was like, thanks guys. Because that drone shot alone was enabled me to see every single thing that they were doing in the process and the lines and all this stuff like that, which was fun to see. But again, that's a money and scale thing, right? You can know what they're doing, but it doesn't mean, I have $1 million to go recreate that, buying a warehouse and getting the team. I mean, that's some serious startup capital. And even if you're very successful as an indie, you may not be Eric July successful. You're not necessarily going to be, I got $4 million campaign one. You could be very successful for an indie, 50, 100,000 and be like, whoa, that's crazy. But that's still not enough to go and then be like, all right, and now I'm going to go buy a warehouse and I'm going to go hire a team, continually. The margins are not going to be there potentially. But having a third party do this, and especially with a custom, fulfillment agency that actually is catered to the specific niche, that is cool. That's wicked awesome. And of course, since Eric July's already getting all this stuff for himself, he's doing, the custom Gemini boxes and all this other stuff. You're already good to go. They already have the big order buys and discounts. And I think that's also what he mentioned, is that you would be able to capitalize on his big buy discounts. And I think that's also a big benefit for him too. So, you know, if he's able to get more people in on this, let's just say he's upping his order quantities in a whatever period that, you know, he needs to do it for the biggest discounts. If he's able to do that with multiple comics now, he's also benefiting, right? Eric July is going to also benefit from lower price per comic buys if he's able to up his scale. So there is a selfish interest there in expanding that way. And it's a great one. I mean, it's a wonderful one to help other people and also be able to get discounts yourself because you're doing that much volume total. That's incredible. So I think fulfillment is going to probably be a big one for the creators who are starting to jump in here, especially the ones who are going to create their own series. I think, I don't know, is it Razor Fist who's maybe toying with that too? So we're going to see. I think we're going to start to see some of these bigger YouTubers who are either in the creative space right now doing it or just beginning. I think you're going to start to see some of these people start to make use of this. And I think that probably came from the conversations that Eric July had with them, seeing that, okay, they want to do this thing, but they also don't want to cut into their time of doing their normal content for YouTube and other stuff, their creative stuff. So Eric's like, okay, I'll go. I'll take care of that. Boom. I got the infrastructure. I got the people. So, DCC, I like this. He says, Voluntaryist comic with buying. I stopped buying Marvel and DC. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And, you know, funny story, you know, insiders for whoever's watching this. I also have been expanding with these improved markets for indie comic creators. I actually, no joke, have already begun lettering the next issue. Right. So I haven't fulfilled this one yet because obviously we just finished a little while ago, but I'm still getting in the final prints, and you know, I should show this to you if I'm going to, you know, tease it. But we literally already got in this issue's print. So I did make that announcement to both Fund My Comic, and I did make the announcement to Indiegogo. But this is the fastest we've ever been able to move. We literally got the comics printed faster than we can do the bonus prints because we funded so much higher than expected. I was like, oh, okay, I guess got to get multiple artists working at the same time parallel to get the bonus perks done faster because it was just beyond expectation. I really was floored at the support. So we'll have that. I'm already working on the trailer for the next campaign. It's going to be very similar. When I launch the sequel to this one, you know, once I fulfill, because I do not I do not run consecutive, you know, with campaigns. I don't run the next one until one's fulfilled. So, and this is going to be the fastest turnaround on any comic I've ever done as it stands. Even though the campaign delivery date is December of this year, we're going to be way ahead, as you can obviously see. So I'm excited for what the potentials are. And especially now with RipPasend, I'm sitting here going, okay, what should I do? Because I could do Fund My Comic and I could do Indiegogo again, just like before. Is there a possibility that this Suit Saga 2 I do with RipPasend? It's possible. It's certainly possible. So I'm hopeful. I hope there's something we can make work, even if it's just, you know, doing a shirt perk, because that's kind of hard to do. Shirt perks can be a real pain in the butt. I actually just did a shirt perk for somebody from an old campaign. I had a dye sublimation tee, right? Voluntaryist symbol, the whole thing, the body thing. It was a rare thing from the past. He wanted it so bad, he was willing to pay my setup fees just to get another one of those shirts. And I was very thankful to him for doing that. But it's expensive. It can be expensive to do shirts and to ship those out, right? Because it's just a high cost, initial cost, if you don't have the bulk on it. So Eric July has the bulk on it. So I'm sitting here like, these are some quality shirts. I mean, I was not exaggerating when I said the RipAverse shirts were some of the best comic tees I've ever had. Best comic book art tees I've ever had. The tagless, soft material, the quality of the ink, it was great. The fits were awesome, like so good. So I'm like, yeah, if I get a Voluntaryist tee printed by RipAverse as a perk of my campaign and they can fulfill it, whatever, you know, I don't need high margins on that. I just literally want to be able to expand offerings and have people have an amazing shirt and have RipAverse deliver that, if that's a possible thing to do. That would be amazing. So we'll see what can happen out of it. But you know, we'll just take whatever, is feasible on the table. I'm very willing to work with whatever could be done. So I'm very excited and very thankful for whatever possibilities can be done. But I know some people are obviously more ready, maybe financially, to move on bigger things, right? If you already had $100,000 campaign, well, yeah, you're like, okay, I can use that fulfillment stuff right now. So, and thank you so much, Alpha, for the go for it. So I appreciate it. All right, let's take a quick look here at the campaign hosting. So in addition to fulfilling shipping needs, RipPasend offers comprehensive campaign hosting services for pre-order campaigns. We can create a customized campaign page, unique URL, collaborating with you to ensure the page is optimized for your campaign goals, branding, and specifically designed to enhance search engine optimization for pre-order campaigns. So this is something that was trying to wrap my mind around, because it wasn't clear from the beginning whether this campaign hosting is a unique URL front end that ties to like a Shopify back end that goes to RipAverse, or it's completely independently hosted. I mean, both ways can be made. It's not like you can't do it. It could be done, but I'm not sure whether they're saying RipAverse is going to have the back end on it, even though it has unique URL, so that they get in the order and they process that order, or if it's going to be, well, we make this website for you. You have the Shopify on your end. You have the stamps.com integration, and then you're responsible for fulfillment, right? So I don't know which way they're going with that, and those are two whole different animals. Personally, I don't care about having the independent hosting thing, because it's like, to me, it's like, okay, I could do that with Indiegogo from my comic. If I were to do something with campaign hosting, I would want to have it where that back end is going directly to RipAverse for the purpose of fulfillment. Because if they're creating this page and then it's automatically going to RipAverse warehouse and they know the orders and they're like, boom, boom, okay, we can do this, we're good to go. But again, you could also have it independently and then you collect the orders in a CSV and send it over. But it would be nice to not have to even do that intermediate step if it can go straight over to RipAverse and it's automatic, or like an automatic fulfillment, especially if it's a campaign where you already have the product ready. I mean, of course, some people are doing crowdsourced fundraising, so it's not ready. But if I was told we'll do the direct fulfillment potentially, if you get the product ready beforehand, I would shore up the cash on that and get the product ready beforehand, at least the basics of what's need to be done. And so it's ready to be fulfilled right away. I could make that happen. I could strap that cash, I could bootstrap it. But some people obviously are still in the stages where they're like, no, I need to fundraise even before I create. And that's, that'll be its own thing. So, Mike says, yo, how you doing? Well, or hope you're doing well. It'd be interesting if you document a process as you move along with RipPasend to help provide as much information others might be interested. Yes, I'm certainly going to the extent I can, talk about it. I'm not sure to what extent they'll have NDAs if they do consulting or this, that. It's possible that they might have some things that require privacy or secrecy. So, there'll be some things that maybe couldn't be talked about. Should I be selected? It's possible too, though, that I can talk about the things that are being done in Result, right? Like, maybe to the extent that it's just, here's what we're going to do on the production side. What's going to be, public facing. So we'll see. I'll definitely talk about it as best I can. And I'll talk about my own knowledge too, because I have my own, obviously, knowledge from production and creation for many years of doing this. But certainly, I'd be happy to share if there is any progress with that, just the idea that something is going forward and a possibility is going forward. And of course, I am definitely going to promote that. If I'm saying, hey, we're going to do a RipAverse created t-shirt for Voluntaryist this next campaign, you better believe I'm pumping that up. Heck yeah. Of course. So, because that's quality stuff, that they're making some good stuff there. All right, let's take a look here at Storefront. It says, if you're looking to sell books, comics, or the merchandise, RipPasend offers a unique storefront hosted on the RipPasend network. Yes, this is really curious. With our comprehensive fulfillment and technical infrastructure, you can easily showcase and sell your products without the need for a campaign format. Our storefront is optimized for search engine optimization, ensuring maximum visibility for your offerings. Let RipPasend be your trusted partner, providing a seamless professional platform for selling your creative works. This was one of the things I directly asked about. So for me, this is like, yes, I want a storefront where I can have my trade paperback again. It's old news, already done, 192 pages of beautiful comic. already finished, I can put that in a warehouse. Like if they say, hey, we will warehouse it, we will fulfill it, print, well, I don't have to print on demand, it'd be pre-printed or whatever. I am, boom, ready to go. You tell me. If their MOQs, their minimum order quantities, are too high, that might make it tough, right? Like I can't be like, oh, I have to do 500 or 1,000 right off the bat. But if they're like, oh, okay, we just need 100 copies minimum and we can warehouse 100 copies to start. Okay, I can do that. I can do like 100 copies or something, maybe 200. Because if it gets too high, then it's like, okay, that's like $10,000-$20,000 just to start, and without even knowing whether or not, it will be successful, right? I'd rather or rather have a failure that's small than a failure that's big, right? I'd rather prototype and test it, see what the taste is for it if you put it on the network, right? Because I don't mind putting 100 copies and just seeing, okay, does it sell out? Does it sell some copies over a few months? Does it not sell at all? It's like, if it doesn't sell at all, well, okay, learn my lesson. But I would imagine it would probably be pretty successful, because I think anybody who gets entered into this is at least putting together some quality product. I don't think they're going to accept any comic book that is total crap. Because I imagine they're going to have quality control. They want to look a certain way. They don't want to have something that people are disappointed in. Certainly, definitely now, I would believe that my comic books would qualify in terms of the minimum standards for quality control and other things like that. It's certainly competent art, lettering, and very well proved and stuff like that. It took many years to get it refined to that perfection, but now our quality control is to the T amazing. So we'll see. But I think that's also going to be a big deal for a lot of people who already have successful titles, right? Anybody who already has some work product, work history, they already have several issues out. So it's already a building fan base, and they can front the funds to get warehouse space. And of course, they're going to have, just like any 3PL, probably a warehousing monthly, probably whatever broken down cost, right? That's normal with, you have a shipper that you pay for a pallet space, and that pallet space is going to be a certain amount of money, usually by volume and or weight. I don't know how they're going to do it. Obviously, I don't know what their exact prices are, right? That's where fingers crossed open on to see. But certainly, I'm very excited to see what the storefront could look like for those of us who actually have completed arcs and issues, and they're ready to just be stocked, and then to see, okay, well, how does that go? What happens when you get to be part of the RipAscend network? And how does that boost your profile, especially from where you're at right now, which I can't help but think that that's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be awesome. So that would be pretty legit for anybody that gets to be hosted there, to be a part of that collection of amazingness. So, all right. Hey, what's up? That's a funny name. Donkey. So let's take a look last at the publishing. So for publishing here, it says for vetted clients, right? Very important, of course. We offer publishing services where we will handle everything from proofing, printing, and fulfillment. RipAscend and team are customer first, which means all our choices are focused on making your customers happy. This means, unlike other publishers, we avoid cutting corners or going cheaper. It means providing a less than stellar product for your fans to be excited about. So this publishing, some people had some confusion on, because they thought publishing here meant that you were getting published under the RipAverse brand. No, that's not what they're saying here. They mean publishing in the loosest sense. That it's not editorial in terms of they're telling you what to do with substantive content and editing it and telling you what to do, like in that kind of thing. They mean publishing in like the physical sense of the word. Hey, we'll print your comic. We'll take a look and make sure, okay, your pages, there's no problems with them. There's no, I don't know if maybe they'll do even just, maybe they'll do a simple proofing that's just like, okay, there's no spelling error or something missing, right? Oh, there's like a speech bubble without words. What happened, right? Maybe something like that. Very superficial, but not substantive. And just making sure the quality control is there. But then they're printing that for you and fulfilling. That's super cool. That is super cool. And the reason why I think that's super cool is because some of the stuff they've done with some of their prints can be tough to get done elsewhere. I use Kablam. I have had no problem with them. Their quality on their print is top notch. Honestly, I've looked at other publisher people or printers, and yeah, it's not that great. And some people, of course, can try to get cheap comics in China and then you don't know what's going on there. I know some people use Comics Wellspring, and there's a few other places. Some I even see it on Amazon, but they don't look good. So, I stick with, I stick with Kablam because it's just a situation where you get what you pay for, right? It's American side printing. They print out of Orlando, Florida, and the quality on that is amazing. I mean, the print, the gloss on it. Some people like the older comics where it's like, oh, it's more papery and matte and stuff like that. Me, I don't like that. I like the modern comic. I like the sheen and the colors that pop. I like the smoothness and stuff like that. So Kablam does that, and it's very beautiful and modern. They do a great job, but it is expensive, and it's expensive when you're, of course, just not a part of a bigger order. So it's something that is a good question. Is with Eric July's quality control, which is very good. Their printing, of course, is excellent, and whoever they're doing it with is, obviously doing a good job. I'm not sure offhand actually who it is. It could be out of China, it could be Comics Wellspring, I don't know. But to be able, to make the most sense of it for people, it needs to be a part of that regime of getting so many different orders that you can benefit from having quality and low price, right? Otherwise, what's the point? Because then you could just print, yourself kind of thing potentially. But I could see that being a thing. Now, what is going to be tough for some people like myself is that my comics are formatted to Kablam's template. Not every comic publishing company has the same template, and I've played around with this. I've gone to Comics Wellspring and other places, Amazon, stuff like that, just for giggles and just, okay, let me take my formatted comic, let me take a look at the image. How does it line up on the margins? And there's marginal differences enough, though, that it's not convenient to convert. So I do wonder if that's going to play a factor in the publishing aspect for some people, where they, in the past or in their workflow, they worked with a certain comic printing template, and maybe that doesn't work with the RipAverse publishing because their print specs don't line up with what someone has going on already. Now, if they can do custom print specs, maybe it's a place in China, they could just choose that size and, there you go. But again, I don't know. But for someone who's going raw, you're raw dogging this, you could have your artists, of course, just fit to their template, right off the bat. You could be like, okay, well, we'll just have our artists fit to the template for the company that RipAverse is printing through. I think that's obviously going to be a huge deal for people who have who are the artists themselves. The publishing is going to be huge for those who actually are the primary artists. If you're the primary penciler, colorist, whatever, that kind of thing, and you're like, yeah, I can just keep, then yeah, having someone who could do the publishing out the door, you just send them the files. That's a big deal. That is a huge deal. So I'm definitely seeing that, creators who definitely have a fandom for their work, and maybe they are more digital or they, just started getting into this. I could see the publishing thing being a big deal for them. Having RipAverse just have it all taken care of, top to bottom. Now, I will say I am always nervous about the proofing and the quality control there personally, because I've had accidents in the past, not in recent years, but over 5-6 years ago, where I've made mistakes and then I had to go fix those mistakes, and it's really not fun. It still gives me nightmares. I still have terror about sending in a comic and then opening it and reading it, and then there's something that was off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? So for many years now, though, I have a special quality control process that makes sure that doesn't happen. But back when I was a noob, it was not that easy. Doing it all on my own, it was very difficult. And my eyes would gloss over things or skip something, like, oh my gosh, then I got to go and fix it. I got to go reprint it. Nightmare. So I do, wonder what that proofing system will look like. If it will be mutual, like, you review, they review, and then you do your final stamp of whatever they proof, right? I would imagine they would, where they do the review and then they're like, okay, and now you check this and you sign and say, I confirm that this is good to go. I imagine they'll do that to CYA. But we'll see. I mean, that's everything. That's taking your baby and giving it to RipAverse, saying, okay, my baby's in your hands. You got to go bring the start to finish. So, that's a big deal. But obviously, if you're going to put it in someone's hands, it seems to me that RipAverse has got their stuff together at this point, by and large. I mean, quite clearly, the team, the quality control, the expertise, everything is very finely tuned. Far from the first release of isom. It's certainly at this point, very well controlled and reviewed with their teams. It's the system is well lubed. So this is exciting. This hopefully helps you think about what RipAverse is doing and gives you a sense of what they're trying to create and offer people. Oh, hey, what's up, Trent? Good to see you. And in doing so, maybe it inspires you. Maybe you're thinking about something that might work for you. Certainly, when I saw that, I was immediately at my computer on the keyboard, like, okay, sending right now. I think that it's possible too that RipAverse might even get into reporting on these things. So not only are we seeing the potential for RipPasend to, create this network of other creators where there's, going to be publishing and cross promotion. I see RipAverse potentially being able to have blogging articles and other creative things talking about this, right? Having newsworthy things where they do write-ups on these stories or do personal pieces on, the creators or the brands. And that's its own draw to the site, just like you might have Bleeding Cool or something like that, Abounding in Comics or whatever. I can see RipAverse going that direction now, potentially with doing coverage, and that media coverage also then draws in curious fans to check out RipPasend and RipAverse in the process. I think it's on the horizon. So this is a total system. This is a complete system of both publicity for RipAverse, outside friendlies and creators who share in the vision in this indie comic creators community that have the shared sentiments about the annoyance with the mainstream, and people who want to just make great comics and fulfill on time and be professional, which certainly describes what I like to do. I'm very professional when it comes to making sure that my comic stuff is done properly and customer service and all of the good stuff. I do not want anyone to walk away think they didn't have care and concern about whatever I send and all that good stuff. Anything that comes back to me gets lost in the mail. I immediately message the person, hey, just got your address, bounced back to me. Where'd you move? Or what did you write wrong? So we'll see. But all right. So I just want to take a quick look here before we wrap out. Any last comments? Mike says the printing would be mutually beneficial. I imagine creators with smaller orders could get the benefit and negotiate prices. Exactly right. That is a big part of this, is that if you are a smaller creator, maybe you only got a few hundred backers at most, well, now you can get the prices of someone who has 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 orders. Pretty big deal. And he also says, as more creators sign the RipPasends, it can allow them to negotiate even lower prices. Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's why I imagine that Eric July has his interest in here as well, is that the more that he builds this out, the more that he's putting in orders as, RipAverse LLC with these bigger companies, the more he's getting steeper discounts on everything, shipping rates, materials, all that good stuff, because it's just a matter of scale. So I think that this is going to just be next level. I honestly think people don't even know how big this is about to be. I see it. I'm like here, like almost like, knowing about Bitcoin early 2013. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be massive. Like this is going to be what rocks the socks off of, Marvel and DC. You're seeing right now the beginnings to what that will ultimately manifest as. And it will be just as it's always been, whenever there's these cultural changes, it starts slowly and then it picks up and then exponentially, all of a sudden, the next thing you know is, whoa, what people see, what's this? What happened? And they're like, yeah, well, if you weren't paying attention, this whole economy, this parallel economy was being built. And now it's so strong and effective that those who support it and take part in it are going to be very victorious in this outcome, for sure. You're going to be, a part of this new wave of indie creators who build this outside structure, not beholden to the big corporate cronies who don't care about the characters and the timelines and stuff. They just destroy these characters for their political agendas. And you're going to see these other companies and businesses start to just slump in ways that were unexpected. I mean, we already have seen the slump, but we're talking about a kind of slump that you really are like, whoa, like you can't even believe it, right? It comes to a point where you think something's inevitable, almost like, oh, this is always going to be here, and the next moment, like, creative destruction, right? That's where we're heading. We're heading to the creative destruction of the mainstream crony, SJWE, big megacorp, comic producers and publishers. We are on the cusp of that history being made. So don't miss it. Pay attention, enjoy it, be a part of it, because it's going to be fun. This is going to be really fun. And I'm super excited too, on that note, to pick up Yaira. That was what I've been waiting for, and I think they gave the announcement of March 11th, right? So it's coming up pretty soon, right? What's today? The 2nd? 9 days, roughly. So we're going to see just unparalleled shifts in this comic space toward what ends up being great stories and great creators and all kinds of stuff that, people have been thirsty for a while. So it's amazing. DC says, I'm here for Voluntaryist Reverse, you guys. My Marvel DC, out of ashes comes greatness. Exactly. That's exactly right. This is, not just destruction here. This is creative destruction. This is not just complaining. This is building. This is building the future, seeing the writing on the wall, knowing that people are tired of stuff that is just the same old hackneyed plots. And then they're like, oh, and we'll just change the gender. We'll just make them gay. And it's just like, that's why anime is killing it. Manga is killing it, because they actually have interesting plots with deep characters and original content. And the mainstream comic corp people just don't. They are bankrupt, intellectually bankrupt. So we're just going to see more great things happen coming up. So, all right. Well, I appreciate y'all for hanging out, doing this review with RipPasend. Fingers crossed. I'll let you know if something comes of it. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. If it doesn't, I won't be mad. I'll understand. They might have certain needs and certain time for certain people. Of course, they got to process through the highest yields first. I get that. There's a lot of people who have some great projects, and they definitely have funded $50,000, $100,000+, in one campaign. I've done close to that over several campaigns, but some of them have done it in one campaign. So I can't blame them. Can't blame them for going through the big hitters first, but hopefully they make it to the small to mid level guys next and girls next. So that'd be really cool. All right. Take care, everybody. And I'll talk to you later. See you later.